رمضان تجلى وابتسما طوبى للعبد إذا تنما.
The one who missed fasts of Ramadan and died, can anyone else make up for his fasts? Secondly, when family members who are old or someone who is sick and they cannot fast, can they give fidyah, expiation, instead of fasting, keeping it or keeping in mind the ayah which says, and fast the same number of days? First of all, Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah, as we mentioned earlier in these reminders, that fasting is an obligation, a fixed number of days. Whoever is traveling or sick may make them up later on when this excuse does not exist any longer. Now, those who continue to have this excuse permanently, whether they are too weak and vulnerable to fast due to their age, or they are chronically ill, which prevents them from fasting and definitely prevents them from making up later on. In this case, Allah has made them pay an expiation for missing such days of Ramadan. For every day they miss, they should feed a poor person. And this poor person's either being given raw food, about 1 kilo and 0.125 grams a kilo, which is half a sa'. Sa' is made of 4 mud. A mud is what collects in the 2 hands of an individual, a normal size individual. So 4 scoops makes a sa'. And a sa' is approximately 2.25 kilograms of rice. So it's a measurement of size, not of weight. Half of it is approximately 1.125 grams of rice. You can give this for every day you miss after the day is over of Ramadan. The other alternative is to cook a good meal. So some biryani, some rice chicken, some rice meat, a good normal meal, and you feed it to a poor person. Either after the sun sets, day by day, or at the end of the month. On Eid or afterwards, you cook food for 30 people, depending on Ramadan was 30 days or 29 days, and you invite them to eat and fill up their stomachs. And this is what Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, used to do when he got old. Now, what about if a person dies? Should his heirs make up for him? Now, can I offer prayer for a deceased person? Yeah, you can make dua. No, I'm not asking about that. Can I pray 2 rak'ahs and say, oh Allah, these 2 rak'ahs are for my deceased father? The answer is no. If my mother went into hospital and died missing 7 days of prayer, can I pray on her behalf? The answer is no. So can I fast on their behalfs? Well, this is a technical question. And the scholars disputed on it, as they have disputed on most of the issues. Why do scholars have different opinions? Don't we have the same Quran, the same Sunnah? Yes, but this is a long topic. Not all of them have received the evidences. So the early scholars like Abu Hanifa, Malik, Abu Hanifa in Iraq, Malik in Medina, Shafi'i was in Iraq and in Egypt, Imam Ahmad was also in that region. Not all of them had printed books. Because after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, there were 4 prominent companions of the Prophet ﷺ. 2 in Medina, Abdullah ibn Umar and Zayd ibn Thabit. So people learned from them. 1 in Kufa, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. 1 in Mecca, Abdullah ibn Abbas. These are the 4 companions that the 4 schools of thought come from. So it depends, because after Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, died, and in his lifetime, he used to prevent people from dispersing the companions. He kept them in Medina. But then he started sending few here and there, and when he died, they all spread around. And each one had knowledge that some did not have. So the knowledge that were conveyed and delivered to Abu Hanifa, for example, was not full, because he did not travel to Yemen. He did not travel to Egypt. He did not travel to Syria. He did not travel to Khurasan, which is sort of like Iran, the Russian countries, Afghanistan, or whatever. So his knowledge of the hadith was limited. Now Imam Malik was in Medina, so the vast majority of the companions were there. He learned from each and every one of them, or those around him. His knowledge in hadith is far greater. That's why he has the book of Al-Muwatta. Imam Shafi'i was in Mecca, then went to Medina and memorized it by heart from Imam Malik, and then he traveled to Al-Iraq, where he met the students of Abu Hanifa and learned from them. Then he went to Egypt, so he collected more and more and more hadith and the fiqh of Imam Malik and Abu Hanifa. Imam Ahmad was the greatest of them all in sense of traveling. So he traveled to Yemen and heard from Abdul Razzaq, the compiler of Al-Musannaf. He went here and there and collected. It traveled so many long years that enabled him to be the Imam of Hadith, Imam of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And he compiled his huge book of Musnad al-Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, which is well known. So now again, we come back to the issue. Why did scholars differ? Because of this. Either the evidence, the Sunnah, the Hadith did not reach him. It might have reached him, but he does not believe it is authentic. It might have reached him and it was authentic, but he does not believe that it fits the issue we're talking about. He says there's no evidence in it. It's about another issue. So the understanding of the Hadith and how to implement it differs from one Imam to the other. And there are a number of reasons. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on his soul, compiled a beautiful small book. It's translated, but it is packed with information and knowledge. It's called Raf'ul Malam Anil A'immatil A'lam, uplifting the blame from the great Imams. So you do not blame them, you have to understand why they differed. Once you read the book, you'll find that, inshallah, easy. So again, a person dies. Can we fast? The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, Man mata sama anhu waliyuhu. Whoever dies, his heir must fast. So scholars differed in interpreting this hadith, whether it's authentic or it's authentic. So how do we understand it? First of all, we have to look at this individual. May Allah have mercy on his soul. He died. When he got sick, did he recover or he died soon afterwards? Number one, scenario one, a person skipped 30 days of Ramadan because of his illness. Shawwal came, Dhul Qa'dah came, Dhul Hijjah, and he was still ill. He could not make it up. And he died before the following Ramadan without recovering in order to make up. Do we fast on his behalf? Nope. Do we feed people on his behalf? No. Why? Because he did not get the chance to make up. And we did not get the knowledge whether this is chronic or not. We were hoping and waiting and anticipating that he may recover and then make it up for himself. Scenario 2. He got sick in Ramadan. He did not fast. Shawwal, he became healthy. So he has from Shawwal till the following Ramadan to make up. He can make up. But he didn't because he had time and he died. Said, oh, okay, in this case, his heirs should fast on his behalf. Because he's not sinful. He didn't do anything wrong. He had the time frame still extended and he had the ability to fast, but he didn't. Yet he's not sinful. So in this case, his heirs can fast on his behalf. How? They can divide it. So if my father died skipping 30 days of Ramadan, and my father has 10 children, each one of us fasting 3 days would do the job. So if each one of us fasts 3 days, these are 30 days, alhamdulillah, it's done, it's over. And this is the most authentic opinion. Other than that, can I offer Mondays and Thursdays for my father who has passed away? No. Can I offer 3 white days, fast Arafah, fast Ashura? No. These fastings or making up for what the deceased did not fast only applies for fastings that are mandatory. Because as we know, fasting is divided into 2 types: obligatory fasts and voluntary fasts. Obligatory fasts are fasting of Ramadan, definitely. Making up of missed days of Ramadan. Fasting up of expiations. Wallahi, I will not eat meat tomorrow. And they brought me a very beautiful big piece of steak. Well done, black pepper sauce. I want to eat it, expiate. I don't have money to free a slave or to feed 10 poor people or to clothe them. Then you have to fast 3 days. Fasting becomes obligatory upon me if I break my oath. So, expiations of things that you have to fast. If I kill someone by mistake, I have to fast 2 consecutive months. If I do dhihar, and so on, so many expiations. These are obligatory. And finally, if I make a vow, if Allah cures my uncle and he is dismissed and discharged from hospital on his feet, healthy, I will fast 1 day. Now this is a vow. I pledged some. This is makruh. A lot of people deal with Allah like this. Oh Allah, if you make my daughter pass the exams, the board exams, I will slaughter a sheep. I will pray 10 hours of night prayer. I will fast a whole month. What are you doing? You're obliging yourself something that Allah Azza wa Jal did not oblige upon you. Why? Because you're trading. You do this for me, I do this for you. And this is makruh. The Prophet prohibited us from doing it, alayhi salatu wasalam. If you already pledged and committed to it, khalas, you have to fulfill it. As long as it is obeying Allah Azza wa Jal. So the vows are number 4. These are mandatory fasting. Others are voluntary. The mandatory fastings are the ones that you're allowed to make up for your deceased who had a legitimate reason for skipping Ramadan. Voluntary fastings, no can do. So Mondays and Thursdays, white days, Arafah, Ashura, alternate days like Dawood, peace be upon him, all of this is not allowed for you to do so.